Excellent. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm now going to call to order the agenda meeting for the May 11, 2021. We're going to begin with Finance and General Government Committee items with Comptroller Ismet Alam.
Thank you, Supervisor. There are only two items for action. The first one is a resolution making certain budgetary modifications. Number two, a resolution approving the sale of certain computer equipment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions on those items? Okay, we're going to move on to Highway, Parks, and Recreation Committee items, and we're going to begin with Lori Peretti.
Okay, number 3 is a resolution to authorize submittal for an application for a SIP grant. That's to pay for, supplement the concerts outside, and also for a Niskayuna Community Foundation mini grant for a bike repair kit for Lions Park. And number 4 is a resolution hiring our summer workers and independent contractors. This is our big list for the summer that has all of our pool employees and our ground employees, and also a couple straggler independent contractors for summer programs.
And I have a question because I think, and maybe Councilwoman can help. I thought there was something I have on my notes, Bright View maintenance contract.
Yep. So Ray called me right before the meeting that there was a tree that was imperiling a house, and so he wasn't going to make it tonight. I had asked him if there was anything I needed to address. He said something to me, and I asked him if it had been updated, which is why I was looking for an updated. He said something to me about another contract. I think it might be what you're talking about. It's just the same. It's the same contract that we've been using. They're keeping the same rates. So he had told me that Elena had added it, but maybe it didn't get added.
So just so,
This is the extra workers? No, so this is for the, Paul's asking about a maintenance contract.
with a company called Bright View.
Oh, the
Right.
maintenance that does the work in here.
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think so. I think it had to do with holding ponds or something.
Oh, the detention funds?
Yeah, holding ponds is what Ray told me. So
So it's the mowing of all the
Mowing of
holding
other
pots and
areas.
everything.
So again, it's an existing contract. They're keeping the rates the same.
Okay.
So that's that. And then he did under hiring. I think we discussed it, and I might have been just grouped, Elena might have just grouped them all in one resolution, but one summer hire, I think also it's just a seasonal summer hire, but that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions on those items? Okay, we're going to move on to Economic Development, Historic Preservation, and Environmental Conservation Committee items with our town planner,
I'm
Laura
sorry.
Robertson.
But there's two other things. One is going to be the license agreement for the kayaks. So Paul has to get that done. And then I think we're trying to work, and it's another license agreement thing, is we're trying to get food trucks for the Thursday night concerts. And so we have a variety, we have lists and we have things contracts and other things that other towns have done. So those are two Paul items, right?
Yes, and thank you for, I have that. I have two agendas and that's on the other one. So actually Denise and I went down yesterday and looked at the kayak pavilion because I was curious as to what it was down. And so now I have a better understanding. And so that's going to be
Right, and Laura can speak to that better than anybody. So yeah, that's when you stood up, I was like, right, that one.
And the food trucks we talked about, and this is something that we had that food truck rodeo a year or two ago. And Denise and I talked about having a food trucks possibly at the concerts. We wanted to float that idea about having 1 or 2 food trucks at the summer concerts.
So you're going to find the contracts that we used for those so that we have a similar license agreement with each of them, and the county has provided their permitting. So. Okay.
Yes,
All right, great.
I actually have already found that.
Great. Wow. Okay. Laura, sorry.
One thing I'm sorry, Laura. Usually with the concerts, you had gotten Stewart's and others that came and donated their ice cream or pizza or whatever, correct?
Exactly. So
Right.
we don't have, like, say, one night there's a food truck, Hanford can come another night. You know,
Yeah.
We're going to be very flexible because chances are it'd be hard to find 10 food trucks for 10 concerts.
Right, and so I would just say that normally it'd be, something that we would have discussed at our committee so we could coordinate. So let's make sure if we're going to do, that, which is a great idea, that we coordinate it with our recreation staff.
We have.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for that suggestion. Laura?
So number 5 is a resolution calling for a public hearing on chapter 98 of the town code entitled fees. We've been talking about so we did our building fees. These are the planning fees, and I've talked about this at a lot of agenda items, but when we actually went to do it, they're not set by resolution. They have their own chapter in the town code. So we have to call for a public hearing, and then we have to change it. And then, you know me, if we're touching the code, like if we're going to all that work, we just want to make it right. And so I've been coordinating with the engineering department so we can literally just put everything in there, including trunk fees and everything, because I know sometimes they're in resolutions, sometimes they're elsewhere. We can put all in the code. I talked to Elena just prior to when she was going into her big trial. And I guess the question was, which we normally do, is we take the actual cost fee out of the code and put it by resolution. But this is a very long code, all listed fees. And I don't know if there's a particular reason for that or not, like potentially because it's planning fees, people may want the public hearing to have them changed, not really sure. So I just want to talk to her before we do it. So this could be 2 resolutions down the road. One may be amending the chapter and taking the fees out of the chapter and putting them in resolution, or it may just be keeping the fees in the chapter. It's just a weird thing. We don't have it anywhere else in our code like that.
And I looked at that, Laura, and I couldn't figure that out either, why we have those sets of fees. I think it's just historical.
You think
I don't
so?
think there's any legitimate reason other than that.
And if that's true, then we probably should take them out of the code. So what we would do is on chapter 98, we could outline all the fees that we're going to collect and then do one resolution setting them all.
Yes, I think that's the way to do it. And Elaine and I are working on that.
Okay.
Elena more than me.
Yeah, she did talk about it.
Yeah, she brought it up and I know you had talked about it. And so I said, that seems strange. And I went and looked at it and I did a little bit of the legislative history and couldn't find much and think it's just historical.
Yeah, and it's weird. It may actually even be to just take the whole, I don't know. We can look at it. It's more complicated than we thought it was going to be.
I know. And I know you've been working on it for a long time. I really appreciate everything you've done.
Do you think it's going to be ready though for the next meeting?
Well, so I have all of the fees ready to go and the fee structure, which I can send to you guys. I just did not realize that we had to change the code until last. So it wouldn't be terrible. I think we can have it ready for the public hearing. Unless we wanted to do something weird, like completely remove chapter 98, because chapter 98 is literally just a chapter that lists fees. It's very strange. And then incorporate that all into the zoning code. But if we were to do that, if we touch the zoning code, we have to do seeker and all of those things that we don't normally do.
We're not going to do that.
Okay, so then we'll be ready.
Thank you.
And then number 6 is a resolution appointing the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. This was really hard news to take, but Fred Goodman is moving to Florida and we're very excited for him. Also, disaster. But we do
So many levels, Laura, more than you even understand.
but we do have an amazing zoning board, plenty of people that are capable of taking, we're very lucky. We're very blessed with all those people on the board. But for, I had put forth Maureen. She's very balanced. She's very good. I think Denise asked me that she would be the first female chair for the Zoning Board of Appeals ever. I believe that is true.
How cool is
I
this?
double checked with Michelle. But yeah, so I thought it would be a good time, and she's a great candidate. So we talked about that economic development, so we're putting her name forward. And then we got a resume for a member of the Climate Smart Task Force, Chuck Petrowski. He is excited about climate smart stuff and sent his resume to me that I can send you guys. And then we also had a resume for the Conservation Advisory Council, Stephen Burkholder. So we had it's just, people come and go throughout the town, but Kathy Harder, the lady that worked on our pollinator garden out in front of the solar panels, and she's just a super planner and very, very helpful lady, is moving just across the border to Schenectady, but she can't stay with us because she no longer lives in Niskayuna, so he could take her place. And then number 9 is a resolution calling for a public hearing on a special use permit for a CVS Minute Clinic. This is a small section of CVS that would be carved out of their retail, and it would be allow a couple exam rooms and a waiting room so that they can offer It's called a minute clinic service. So it's somewhere in between like going to get your sports physical or your immunization shots and emergent care. And planning board called for a public hearing at their last meeting, so they should be good to make a recommendation to you guys by the end of the month so that you can call for a public hearing as well.
That was pretty interesting to hear the CVS people last night because they do more than I thought it was a place to give vaccinations, and they will handle a sprained ankle or bruises and cuts. And so it's a mini that they have it's going to be staffed by a nurse practitioner,
Yes. Yep.
but, and it's actually run by a doctor.
Yes.
So it was pretty interesting. It's a lot more services than I thought. And I think that's just what they said was it's 40% cheaper than going to urgent care.
Yeah, and they've found it to be very successful around the country. So this isn't a model that they're creating for Niskayuna. It's something that they've rolled out in the Midwest fairly successfully, and they have some in Massachusetts. I believe this may be the first one in New York, though, so that would be
It is.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
I was just,
You know, right?
I was wondering what they were, there's going to be 3 of these in the store, right? 2 or 3 of them. What are they giving up to put this in? They're giving up other retail space,
So
obviously.
they are giving up some retail space, and they do an evaluation of their retail space. He said mostly they're giving up some of their specialty cards. So they have those big racks of like happy birthday cards. He said that they would be vastly reducing their cards and the couple other items that just aren't hot sellers. So they'll evaluate and then redo their shelving from that evaluation. But they do say that people like the service of being able to come in, get seen, pick up their medication, and then leave. So it's like a one-stop.
I had a tick stuck in my chest 2 weeks ago, and I tried to pull it out, and I ended up going to urgent
Too
care.
much information.
I went to urgent care, and it cost a fortune, and I could have gone to the CVS, and they could have used their tweezers to pull it out.
He hasn't eaten dinner yet. This is what happens.
Yep. That I bet you that would be a service. That would be something that they.
For those of you following along at home, Laura is bright red.
That's good. I have my mask on.
Exactly. You and me both. Uh-huh.
You guys-
Anything else, Paul? You'd like to
No,
talk to us
no.
about anything else you've done at CVS recently?
And then,
We'll be here all week. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back.
and then the last one is actually a Paul thing. So there's a tiny sliver of land on Fillmore that we got from the county during foreclosure, and these are the types of things that we actually prefer to somehow combine into different parcels because people won't pay taxes on them. They're undevelopable, and what they do is they stop paying taxes. They go into foreclosure. People go to the county auction, think they're getting a great deal, buy it, then realize that it's not very useful at all, and it goes back into foreclosure. So these things cycle. So Paul's been working with the adjacent property owner, so that he can combine it with his parcel as part of a subdivision that we're seeing at the planning board.
He's made an offer, and I countered at it. And we're only talking a couple $100.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's not worth a lot.
it's only valuable to him, and it's not even that valuable. It's just a little corner, small little piece of property. So I'm waiting to hear back from him, but we'll have that ready.
Yeah. So
Whatever, it's going to be resolved, whatever the price is.
like the revenue won't be big, but the benefit to the town is that you're putting that land on the tax rolls in a small way. And then you're not taking the staff time of people constantly asking, can I build on this? Putting it on auction, and then people following up on foreclosure. So that's kind of the benefit to that. I agree with you. It's only going to be like a couple $100, but it'll still be good. So did anybody have any questions on those?
Thank you, Laura. We're now going to move on to Public Works Committee items with our Superintendent, Matt Yao.
Matt, and what have you gotten at CVS recently? Anything you'd like to share with us? Any bugs? No?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
So the first item is hiring a temporary seasonal worker. This is the same one that was on last month. We just didn't get the information together fast enough. It's going to be our hydrant painter. Next one is the resolution to approve the sewer extension on Pierce Road. I think we had the public hearing, nothing came of that, so we're ready to go with that, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. 13 is, it was for one property, but there's 2 additional properties that would require fence easement agreements. One is 1384 Ruffner. That's a fence and a drainage easement. And then there's one for 640 Maple Lane, which is a fence and a sewer easement. And the last one is for 787 Downing Street. That's another fence and a drainage easement. We've looked at all of them. In fact, one of those, I believe it's Downing Street. There's a pre-existing fence. They're replacing it. We're using this as an opportunity to bring them up into compliance with a up-to-date easement agreement. So
Which is the one that also has a shed?
that is Maple Lane.
Maple, thank you.
Yeah, a corner of the shed is existing in our easement, so we should include that as well.
We will.
14, I'm going to pull that one right now. We still have to wait for a civil service test on that one for the junior civil engineer. 15 is calling for a public hearing for code changes related to the transfer station. That's tentative. We're waiting to, we started looking at the town code and there's references to a lot of old items that we need to clean up. So we may not get together, but I'd like to at least try for the public hearing. If not, we'll pull it before. 16 is a reso to award a contract to redevelop the 6 wells at our water treatment plant. We had a bid opening and we have a successful bidder. And this is funded by bonding that we did last year and this year. This will help bring the production back up at our wells to increase production. 17 is a resolution to hire maintenance workers at the water and sewer department. It's tentative right now. We have 1 or 2 interviews scheduled for this week. I'm waiting to hear back from one other candidate. If we do have good interviews and we're happy with the candidates, we'll put the names forward. But there are 2 current openings. 18 was mentioned at finance. It's actually not necessary. It doesn't meet the dollar amount to require a board resolution. 19, that was actually meant for next month. So we'll pull that and you'll see it next month. 20 is just a standard resolution to approve the first quarter corporate utility warrant. The numbers are in it. Everything looks good. Kathy in my office and Chris Lachinsky, the billing clerk, have worked on the numbers and everything looks good. 21, we had a mini bid. We went out for a small SUV for use at the water plant. That came in under budget, so I'd like to award that mini bid. 22 is a duplicate from up above. 23 is a resolution to award or to sign an agreement with, we have here is Colony Landfill, but there's an additional one that we would want to do as well for the city of Albany. It's just for us to dispose of our sludge from our treatment plant. Colony is our secondary backup. Albany is our primary. And then I have a few additional ones. A tentative resolution to call for a public hearing for the water and sewer extension for the water and sewer extensions for the proposed Kelts Farm project. We're waiting on final information from the engineer. If we have that and everything looks good, we can have the public hearing for that. A tentative resolution to appoint a wastewater treatment plant operator. There was a recent civil service test and we're waiting to see the results of that to see if there is someone on that list. If not, we'll continue searching outside of the civil service testing. Another one would be a resolution, a tentative resolution to appoint a plant mechanic at the wastewater treatment plant.
What was that one, Matt?
A plant mechanic at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
And the next one is a resolution to permanently appoint a water treatment plant operator. One of our trainees has passed his civil service test and actually came in #1 on the list. So we'd like to permanently appoint him. And the last one would be a change order for the contract that we have with Prime Engineering. They did the design and management of the Mohawk Road water main project. There was a portion of that job that we did not award when we did the bid. We thought we were going to be over budget. We actually are slightly under budget for the project, and there's additional funds from bonding from this year to do a portion of water main on Shannon Boulevard. It was one area that we wanted to do, but we pulled it out of the project. So Prime did all the engineering. They have everything ready to go for that project. We would just need to do a change order of their contract to have them rebundle it to go back out to bid, just for that portion of the project. I think we'll get better prices because we'll get smaller contractors. I think the size of the last project scared some of the smaller ones away, so the prices weren't as good. And that's all I have.
What about, I have on my notes, you were thinking about possibly hiring a summer intern for your engineering office.
Oh,
Is
you know
that,
what? I skipped right over that. I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you, Paul. Because we couldn't hire the junior engineer at this time because of civil service, we'd like to hire a summer intern to help out in the engineering office. We've done it many years in the past. We've done it. We have had 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on the year. I'm just looking for one right now to help out.
that's great. My brother is an engineer and he did that for some municipality and it was invaluable. He really liked doing it. It gave him a good idea of what he wanted to do when he went further in his schooling.
It's great. Great opportunity for the students and also for us too. In fact, we're probably going to be entering into a contract later on this year with someone who interned with us probably 10 years ago. He now owns a company that does sewer lining. And Paul and I have spoken about this. We're going to piggyback on the contract that they have. But that connection was great. And he's very familiar with the town. And I think it's great because I was able to find him. He's down in Poughkeepsie, but just because of the former connection. So,
Do you have somebody for that position yet?
we may have a couple of applicants. It was sort of a last minute thing. So if we don't have one, that's a tentative one. So if we can't get
Can we post it? Can we get an email out about it? Or do you feel like you have people? In the past, that's what we've done because Rich had a tough time sometimes.
we have one that worked for us the last
Oh, you
few
did
years,
say that yeah.
and we're hoping he may be interested in coming back. We're trying to get
Great.
a hold of him right now, but we will do some additional advertising.
Okay. And then I just had, what about paving the parking lot at Blatnick and taking the bonding? Does that require a resolution, Matt?
I don't believe it requires a resolution. Ray has a plan that he has figured out as far as
Okay.
paving in.
Just as, that's fine.
Okay, it's within his paving budget, I believe.
Okay.
That's all I
Thank
have.
you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Next, we have Police and Public Safety Committee items presented by Chief Wall.
Evening, everybody. So we have a resolution establishing a safe exchange zone at Town Hall, and that's for private sales so that they can meet in a public place. We'll still advise them to use safety precautions, come with a second person. We'll use a camera that's in the parking lot. Might have to be adjusted a little bit. It's where the smart cars are. And we'll let them know that those cameras are not monitored 24/7, but at least it will be a safe place for people to exchange or, complete the sales.
And Denise, you're going to get my office some
Yes.
information on that, please?
Yep.
You said you had a precedent from other municipalities.
We sure do.
Thank you.
And I know the chief looked at it as well. So yep, I will get that to you right away.
And then a resolution for the sale of, it's going to actually be 6 surplus vehicles.
That safe exchange zone is a really good idea.
That's why you helped me to come up with it. Thank you.
That was very good.
You're so smart. What about the ATVs, chief?
So the ATVs, I know that last night Schenectady had that the public meeting. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I'm going to go back and watch it.
I am too.
But I
yeah.
think that we kind of watch what they do and kind of follow suit with them.
I think we were going to raise the fines though. Do we need a resolution for that?
Yeah, so that I looked into that last night, and I actually looked at it today, and the complaint was that the fees are so high, it constitutes a taking rather than a fine or a administrative cost.
Mhm.
And that is a fine line. We're getting to a number where the numbers proposed, I think Albany has it, now Schenectady, the numbers are pretty high compared to what
Regular fine would.
a
yeah, I
basic
understand.
used trail
So
bike
Can
cost.
you and the chief come up with a number so we can have a resolution by the end of the month to change the fine?
Yes,
Okay. I mean, the chief knows best. I mean, I'm just,
What is it currently?
Yeah, advocate.
What's the current fine?
I mean, just our regular impound
just,
fee.
but Schenectady's charging,
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it's
like,
a lot of money.
they're trying to go
exorbitant
like
and fees and impound fees and
$3,000.
recovery, et
I know
cetera.
DCJS, I'm getting ready to, I think it's on the 19th. They're having a Zoom meeting because they're having this trouble like all over the place. So that's on the 19th. So I'm going to see what, like how people are addressing it, how other
that'd be great.
locations.
it's a good idea. It's funny that I saw someone in Schenectady ripping down the street the other day, right in the stockade. No plates, nothing, no helmet, just
All right, people are complaining to us all the time. I
no
mean,
muffler.
whether they're reading it in the Gazette about other municipalities and they're realizing, geez, I hear this on my street, or they see it,
They have to call the police. That's, and
right. but
hopefully
the
through
police have to be able to
enforcement,
do
that's the
something.
most immediate thing we can do.
Right. I know there was an incident, we didn't actually get involved in it, but on the bike path, I know it was Saratoga Colony and the state police with a bike on the bike path through the town. that went
Yeah.
Through the town, so.
Thank you, chief.
Okay, anything, any other questions?
No?
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
great.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Are there any other additions to the agenda before I motion to adjourn?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to motion to adjourn.
I
Do
will
I have a
second
second?
that.
Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned for the evening. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you all very much.